What if everything you've been taught about effort, struggle, and chasing your desires is completely wrong? What if the life you've been trying so hard to build is not waiting on your effort, but on your surrender? Right now, in this moment, there is a deeper truth quietly operating beneath all your striving. And if you can truly understand it, not just hear it, it has the power to change everything about the way you live, think, and receive. Close your eyes for a moment. Not to imagine anything, not to practice anything, not to achieve anything, just close them. Take a slow, gentle breath, like you have nowhere else to be and nothing rushing you. Because in this moment you don't. Notice the weight of your body resting against the chair. Feel your breath moving in and out, steady and effortless. You are not making it happen. It's simply happening. Your heart is beating without your command. Your lungs are expanding without effort. The most vital parts of your existence are functioning perfectly, without your control, without your supervision, in complete surrender. And they've been doing this your entire life, without struggle, without stress, without you needing to manage any of it. Now open your eyes and consider this. If the force that keeps you alive works through ease, if the intelligence that builds your body, repairs your cells, and keeps everything in motion, does all of it without your interference, then why do you believe that achieving what you want has to be so hard? Why have you accepted the idea that the same power handling something as complex as your entire existence needs your worry to deliver a relationship, financial abundance, healing, or change? Where did that belief come from? Because what I want to offer you is this. Almost everything you've been taught about effort, struggle, and pushing your way toward success is upside down. And it's time to flip that understanding completely. Most people think manifestation is about force. They believe if they don't push hard enough, hustle long enough, or fight intensely enough, they won't receive anything. They think desire must be earned through effort. They treat the universe like an employer, one that judges how hard they work before deciding if they deserve the reward. So they push themselves. They perform their practices with tension. They visualize while feeling pressure. They repeat affirmations with strain. They act grateful and faithful as if someone is grading their performance. It becomes a task, a test, something to prove, and then they wonder why it feels exhausting, why it feels like they're moving against resistance, why no matter how much they try, what they want always feels just out of reach, close enough to see but never fully arriving. Here's why. Because anxiety itself carries a message. When you chase something with urgency, when you approach it with desperation, underneath all that effort is a belief, a quiet but powerful assumption that says, it's not here yet. Every anxious thought, every forced technique, every action taken from a place of lack is sending that message clearly. It says the desire is missing. It says it hasn't happened. It says it's still somewhere outside of you, waiting to be achieved. And your consciousness, the true creative power, doesn't respond to what you're doing. It responds to what you're assuming to be true. So when your actions are rooted in the feeling of not having, that's what gets reflected back. Not because something is against you, but because that's the signal you're sending. And it responds with precision. It gives you more waiting, more almost, more situations that feel close but not quite complete. Because that's the state you're operating from. You're not being blocked, you're being mirrored. And the moment you understand this, everything begins to shift. What you experience in your world always reflects what you are most deeply and consistently assuming to be true. So what's the alternative to all this effort and struggle? It's not about becoming passive or careless. It's not about sitting back and doing nothing, waiting for life to hand things to you. The real shift is something much more powerful, and honestly, more challenging than forcing things to happen. It's learning to relax, but not the kind of relaxation that comes from giving up, not the kind where you stop caring. I'm talking about the calm of someone who truly knows. There's a different energy in a person who knows something for certain. It's steady, quiet, and unshaken. Think about a woman in the early stages of pregnancy. At that point, there's no visible proof. She can't see the baby yet, she can't feel movement, and nothing on the outside confirms what's happening inside. But she doesn't stay up all night worrying if it will happen. She doesn't perform rituals to make sure it continues. She doesn't constantly check for signs. Why? Because she knows. That knowing creates a natural confidence. She moves through her days calmly, without needing evidence. The lack of proof doesn't disturb her because she has already accepted what is true. That's the state we're talking about here. Not hoping something will work, not forcing yourself to believe harder, but settling into a simple, grounded certainty, a quiet acceptance that it's already done. Not something that will happen later, not something you're working toward, but something that already exists. And when that assumption is held, not through effort, but through genuine acceptance, reality begins to shift to match it. Now here's where it might challenge you. You've been taught your whole life that ease is suspicious, that anything worth having must require struggle, that effort proves seriousness. And if something comes easily, there must be a catch, or maybe you don't deserve it. So when you hear relax or let go, something inside resists. It says, if I stop pushing, everything will fall apart. If I stop worrying, I'm being careless. If I don't try so hard, I'm giving up. But look deeper at that belief. What it's really saying is this. You trust your effort more than you trust the natural law of creation. You believe your stress is helping. You believe that if you stop controlling everything, life will somehow forget about you. See how much power that gives to your doubt? It places your anxiety above everything else, above the law, above your assumptions, even above consciousness itself. And that's where the real trap is. The belief that struggle is necessary is exactly what blocks things from coming easily. Because when you struggle, you're quietly affirming that things are difficult. You're assuming resistance. You're telling yourself that what you want is hard to get. And the law doesn't argue with you. It simply reflects that assumption back into your experience. So you end up in a world where everything feels like effort, where nothing flows easily. Not because that's how life truly is, but because that's what you've accepted is true. Now let's talk about what actually happens when you relax into the feeling that your desire is already fulfilled. Not something that might happen, but something that must happen. First, your inner dialogue changes. For most people, their thoughts sound like someone trying to manage a problem. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm doing this wrong? What if I don't deserve it? What if the timing is off? It's a constant loop of doubt running in the background. But when you truly accept that it's already done, that loop begins to disappear. Not because you forced it to stop, but because it no longer has anything to stand on. Doubt needs the idea that something is missing. Once you remove that idea, it loses its power. What replaces it is a kind of quiet. Not emptiness, but a full, steady stillness. A sense of, it's already here, that doesn't need to be repeated or proven. Second, your body begins to reflect that shift. You already know what anxiety feels like. The tight chest, shallow breathing, tension in your jaw, that restless energy that keeps you on edge. But when you're truly settled in your assumption, your body responds differently. Your breathing slows down naturally. Your shoulders relax. Your face softens. You feel present, not distracted, not worried about what might happen next, but fully here. There's a calmness that people can feel, even if they can't explain it. It's not arrogance or superiority. It's a grounded peace that comes from simply knowing. And then comes the part people call miracles, even though it's just the natural result of the law in motion. The world around you begins to shift. Things start aligning. Circumstances rearrange themselves. Opportunities appear. Connections form. Events unfold in ways that feel almost too perfect. Not because something magical suddenly decided to favor you, but because your inner state changed, and the outer world is responding exactly as it always does. It reflects who you are being. The changes don't always happen instantly, and they may not always be obvious at first. But when they do unfold in your life, they carry such precision and quiet perfection that once you experience it, you're never the same again. Events begin to connect in ways you couldn't have planned. The right person shows up in a casual conversation. A message or opportunity comes from somewhere completely unexpected. Solutions appear when you're calm, not when you're forcing things. Life begins to shift, not because you pushed harder, but because you finally stopped resisting. In that release, your assumption is able to move freely, without interference. Now I know there's a thought some of you might have, but I can't just sit around and do nothing. I have responsibilities. I have things to take care of. And you're right. This isn't about stopping action. It's about changing the energy behind your actions. There's a kind of action that comes from stress, from trying to control everything and force results. That kind of effort drains you. It feels heavy, exhausting, and whatever results it produces often need constant maintenance because they were built on struggle. But there's another kind of action. It comes from certainty, from a quiet inner knowing. It's natural and almost effortless, like you're simply moving in the direction you already belong to. This kind of action doesn't feel like pushing. It feels like expression, like a flower that doesn't struggle to bloom. It blooms because that's what it is meant to do. When you truly live from the state where your desire is already fulfilled, your actions change. They don't feel forced anymore. They arise naturally from within you. You feel guided to do certain things, to reach out to someone, to go somewhere, to take a step, not because you calculated it as the best move, but because it feels right. And what's interesting is that these simple, natural actions often create results far bigger than the effort behind them. That's because they're not powered by stress or doubt. They're powered by your assumption, and assumption is far more powerful than effort. Think about a farmer planting seeds. He doesn't dig them up every day to check if they're growing. He doesn't lose sleep wondering if the process is working. He doesn't perform rituals over the soil to speed things up. He plants the seeds, and then he trusts. He goes about his life knowing the harvest will come, not hoping, not worrying, knowing, because he understands that once the seed is planted in the right conditions, growth is inevitable. It's not dependent on his constant interference. It's simply how nature works. Your assumption is the seed, consciousness is the soil, and the law, the same law that never fails, is what brings that seed to life. Your job isn't to force it to grow. Your job is not to interfere, not to dig it up with doubt, not to disturb it with anxiety, not to keep demanding proof before it has had time to show itself. Your role is to plant the seed with real acceptance, not pretending, not hoping, but truly accepting it as done, and then to rest in that knowing, to support it with trust, to hold it with a quiet confidence that doesn't need constant validation. And the harvest will come, not because you struggled for it, not because you proved yourself worthy, not because you did everything perfectly, but because you planted. And planting is always followed by growth. That's the law, and the law doesn't fail. Now let's talk about something important. Moments when things seem to go against what you believe, because they will happen. You'll settle into this calm certainty, and then suddenly something will appear that contradicts everything. Circumstances might look completely opposite to what you expect. And in that moment, an old voice inside you will rise up and say, "See, this isn't working. You were wrong." And right there you have a choice. You can react. You can let what you see control what you believe. You can fall back into stress and overthinking because at least it feels like you're doing something. Or you can choose something much more powerful. You can stay grounded. You can look at the situation and quietly remind yourself, this is just the result of my past state. This is old energy playing out. It's not what I'm creating now. You don't ignore it and you don't fight it. You simply refuse to let it change what you know to be true. And then you return, gently, to that inner state of certainty. Not forcefully, not with pressure. Just like bringing your focus back after your mind drifts. Oh, I slipped for a moment. That's okay. I'm back now. And you settle again. The law never stopped working, and it continues to respond to your dominant state. Every time you choose to stay in that calm knowing, instead of reacting to what you see, something powerful happens. You show yourself that your inner reality matters more than what's outside. And as you keep choosing this, your belief becomes stronger. It becomes natural. It becomes who you are. Until one day, and this does happen, you reach a point where outside circumstances no longer shake you. Not because you've stopped caring, but because your inner knowing has become so steady, so deeply rooted, that it feels like home. And from that place, everything begins to follow. At a certain point, the noise of the outside world just can't reach you the way it used to. That's what real mastery looks like. It's not loud or dramatic. It's not someone proving they've defeated doubt. It's quiet. It's steady. It's the calm of someone who no longer needs proof from the outside to feel certain within. There's a word I want you to understand deeply: Sabbath. not as a day on a calendar, but as a state of mind. It's the kind of rest that comes after something is already complete, like the stillness that follows creation itself, when everything has already been set into motion and nothing more needs to be added. That rest doesn't come because there's nothing left to do physically. It comes because internally it's already done. The decision has been made, the assumption is set, the seed has been planted in consciousness, and from that point there's nothing left but to rest in it. This is your invitation to step into that state, to look at your desire, your fulfilled reality, and quietly say, "It's done, it's complete, it's already mine." And then allow yourself to rest there. No checking, no forcing, no trying to make it happen. This kind of rest is not giving up. It's the peace of someone who has already done the only thing that matters, the inner shift, the acceptance of the end result as real, a deep, calm certainty that what you desire already exists within consciousness, and because of that, it must eventually show up in your physical world. Everything else is just the delay between cause and effect catching up. So instead of giving you another method or technique, I want to leave you with a simple question. How would you feel if you knew, without a single doubt, that what you want is already done? Not how you'd feel after seeing proof, not how you'll feel someday in the future. How would you feel right now if you knew it the same way you know your own name, completely, naturally, without question? Sit with that. Don't try to answer it with your mind. Feel it. Let your body respond to it. Notice how your breathing changes, how your thoughts soften, how your inner space becomes quieter. And then, be that version of you. Don't act it out. Don't pretend. Just allow it to become real in you. Let it show up in the way you breathe, the way you move, the way you speak. Let the feeling of "it's already done" become something you carry with you all day, quietly in the background of everything you do. This isn't something you add to your life. It's a shift in who you are being. Because the version of you who knows it's done moves differently than the version who is still waiting for it to happen. They may look the same on the outside, but inside they live in completely different realities. And life always reflects the version you truly are. I want to leave you with this. You are not here to earn what you want. You've been taught that over and over again, that you need to prove yourself, that you need to work hard enough to deserve good things. But that's not the truth. What you desire is not a reward. It's not something being held back until you qualify. It's not given based on how perfect or disciplined you are. Your desires are signals. They are personal, precise indications of what already belongs to you at a deeper level. The moment you feel a desire, it's because somewhere within you, you already recognize it as yours. It already exists. Your role is not to create it from nothing. Your role is to accept it. And acceptance doesn't look like struggle. It doesn't look like forcing yourself to believe. It looks like a quiet decision. This is mine. A calm, steady recognition that it's already complete within you. And because of that, it will show up in your reality. That acceptance, when it's real, when you return to it again and again without pressure, becomes the center of your inner world. Everything else, every method, every practice has always been pointing to this stillness, this knowing, this rest. So take a breath, let your shoulders relax, let go of the need to control everything, let go of trying to prove your belief or do everything perfectly. You don't need to qualify for what's already yours. You already do. The desire in your heart isn't random. It's not just a wish, it's a promise. And the only thing standing between you and that promise is the habit of trying to force your way toward it. So stop fighting. Open your hands and receive. It's already done. Rest in that. This is I'll see you again in the next one. What if everything you've been taught about effort, struggle, and chasing your desires is completely wrong? What if the life you've been trying so hard to build is not waiting on your effort, but on your surrender? Right now, in this moment, there is a deeper truth quietly operating beneath all your striving. And if you can truly understand it, not just hear it, it has the power to change everything about the way you live, think, and receive.